What's up and welcome to another edition of Power Rankings with IBM Watson. I'm Reinforce, I'm back. We're back with the Overwatch League after a quick break following the June Joust, and we just kick things off with the Summer Showdown. Finally, Hero Pools is gone, we've unlocked Tracer, we've unlocked Sombra, we've unlocked Reinhardt and Senjera, and now all the teams in the league, they can play whatever heroes they want. So many different compositions, so many different play styles. We saw a ton of upsets, like a ton. I think according to a post on Reddit, there was like 6 or 7 upsets throughout the weekend. I mean, that's just unreal. Because of that, we're going to have some shakeups in our power rankings with IBM Watson. Let's kick things off with the team rankings because we had some interesting matches over the course of the weekend. Of course, the Gladiators and the Shock, they kicked things off in the Summer Showdown. Two teams that we typically think of pretty dominant, really strong in the North American region. They took a couple of losses. Of course, one was against each other. But, the other matches, they looked a bit shaky. Maybe this is the time for mid-table teams and underdogs to capitalize on this fact. They were number 4 and number 5 respectively. And taking a look at the rest of the rankings as well. Seoul Dynasty at number 7 following a great week. We'll dive more into that. And we also have Boston at number 11, kicking things off once more with 2 wins here in the Summer Showdown. They look pretty promising, but then again, this is how June Joust started for them as well. Took 2 early wins and then they ended up taking 2 losses before the knockout matches. Can Boston Uprising keep that tempo up? We're about to find out. I also want to take a look at Guangzhou. They're still at number 17, even though they got a win against the New York Excelsior. So they're still hovering around the bottom, but maybe the Guangzhou Charge, they can breathe in some new life in the second half of the season. It seems like they're scouting some players. Those are the rumors. So I'm keeping my eyes on the Guangzhou Charge, see if they can rise from that number 17 spot. Now, let's go into our player rankings, because Prophet, this guy, he just shows up when it really matters and just pulls off the sickest performances. Obviously, every time you watch the Seoul Dynasty, Prophet is someone you have to be wary of because he is their star player, he is their superstar player. But they didn't make it to the playoffs of the May Melee, not of the June Joust. So, people are wondering what's going on with the Seoul Dynasty. Finally, they come alive, they kick things off 2-0. They had a fantastic opening week behind them. They look dominant. This is the Seoul Dynasty we've been wanting all season long. Another player that has stepped up for the Seoul Dynasty is 2U. This was a guy I actually criticized early on in the season. I didn't think he had really good performances in the May Melee. I feel like he was weighing his team down, but he is now in the top 10 in the tank rankings as well. 2U, what a guy. What an off-tank. Good things from him. This is a guy that is up-and-comer, signed for the Seoul Dynasty last year after being part of their academy team down in Contenders, and now finally in the Summer Showdown we see some of that potential really come true for 2U. But I actually talked to some of the coaching staff of the Seoul Dynasty going into the season, and I asked like, hey, what's going on with 2U? There are great free agents available. People like Meko, for example, like, hey, you could have picked up Meko. And Seoul essentially told me like, hey, we really believe in this guy. We really believe in 2U. We think he's a great addition to the team. Still a young player, tons of potential here. And it seems to be paying off now. We're really starting to see some great glimpses of fantastic gameplay from 2U. So very happy for him. Let's jump into the hero rankings then, because I've already mentioned Prophet, and I wanted to take a look at the Tracer rankings, and they've rated him at number 2. That is very exciting, I find, because we have so many fantastic Tracer players around the league. So Decay is going to be number 1 for the Washington Justice. That guy's an absolute freak of nature. We know that already. He's the superstar of the Washington Justice. They are a force to be reckoned with when they play their A game. So Decay is now going to be number 1 in the Tracer rankings. And then you have number 3, you have Lip for the Shanghai Dragons, which has been largely impressive as well. A fantastic performance in the May Melee, alongside Sparkle for the Dallas Fuel. They played a couple of times in the May Melee as well, and Sparkle really came alive there, fulfilled his potential, and learned that hero basically, which was a bit surprising to us because we didn't expect Sparkle to pick up the Tracer the way he did. At least I didn't, but he is number 4 in the rankings as well. Leave gets a special honor at number 5 because Leave is playing his mind out. The Chengdu Hunters, they're struggling a bit in the league. They're 5-5 so far, but Leave is phenomenal. Like, some spectacular performances from Leave this season. So he's number 5. I don't want to remiss mentioning him, of course, because of the way he's playing. I know Chengdu fans are very excited about Leave, and so am I. Another hero that we've seen that we typically don't see is actually Torbjorn. Some of these teams, they're bunkering down, they're playing the Reinhardt composition, but they're playing it very slow, okay? They're not pushing in, they're not brawling with the Reinhardt. Instead, they're opting to play it really slow, and that is when Torbjorn come in handy. So if we actually take a look at the Torbjorn rankings, Kevster is going to be number 1 for the LA Gladiators, and this is a hero we saw come out a little bit towards the end of the June Joust in teams trying to find a way to counter some of these very quick Lucio Moira dives, and Kevster is going to be number 1 there. Nero is going to be at number 2 for the San Francisco Shock. This is a Shock team that has been struggling, but it's good to know that Nero, he can actually be someone that can have an impact on Torbjorn if deemed necessary. We know that Super is a fantastic Reinhardt player, so if you want to slow things down, that is an option for the San Francisco Shock moving forward in the Summer Showdown. Maybe Nero can pull out that Torbjorn, shut down some of these dives. Now, typically Shock, they like to play very fast, they like to play very aggressive, but they have been struggling a little bit sometimes. They still have a fantastic record in the league, don't get me wrong, but if they wanted to find, experiment, try some different playstyles, this seems to be an option for them. So Nero is at number 2 in the Torbjorn rankings. Finally, Boston Uprising had a great week 1 as well. I already mentioned it in the team rankings, but Boston Uprising impressive as they took down the Florida Mayhem. A Florida Mayhem team that is slipping a little bit. Now, large part of why Boston Uprising won was Stand 1 playing the Reinhardt. So if we take a look at the Reinhardt rankings, we're actually going to see that Stand 1 is number 4 in the Reinhardt rankings. I think to most people, this is pretty surprising because generally when we think of Reinhardt players, Super, for example, around the league, and we think about these big Earth Shatters and these big, mighty Reinhardt players. But actually, in this scenario, it's Stand 1 at number 4. He's sneaking his way into the rankings a little bit. We knew Stand 1 was a good Reinhardt from his time in the Shanghai Dragons, of course. The Boston Uprising, they're catering to his Reinhardt strengths. He had so many big Earth Shatters against the Florida Mayhem. That was a large part of why they actually managed to win that match. Now, this is interesting also because he didn't have the best statistics in that match, because his job was so much of slowing the pace of the game down, utilizing the shield of Reinhardt, making sure that players like Valentine could pop off, making sure that I'm37 could pop off, that he didn't have a lot of offensive statistics, so eliminations, final blows, hero damage, all of these dropped significantly because he didn't have a lot of damage output. But he was able to stay alive for so long that I believe the stat was on our broadcast that he was average time alive was like 1 minute 40 seconds. That's absurd for a Rhino player, whereas I stay alive like 15 seconds in my ranked game. So Stand 1, even though he played defensively, he's still getting his due credit here in the power rankings powered by IBM Watson. So very exciting for Stand 1. The rest of the rankings, of course, we have Fearless at number 1, Sado, Super, and Mono, and Django surrounding actually. So he's in great company there, Stand 1. Very exciting for Boston Uprising fans around the league. That's going to be it for the power rankings powered by IBM Watson for this week. If you want to check out the rankings yourself, of course, you can do that on the overwatchleague.com website. The rankings themselves are updated on every Monday around noon PST, so you can go there, you can browse around the hero rankings, check out what heroes you find interesting, and you can see how your favorite players are doing or your favorite team is doing in the rankings. So that's going to be it for me. I'm live here on every Wednesday. A new video is uploaded with me analyzing the rankings and giving my thoughts on the rankings. But if you can't wait for more Overwatch until next Wednesday, well, there's always the next week of Overwatch League gameplay. Looking forward to Friday, week 2 of the Summer Showdown. I hope you tune in. I'm going to tune in because I'm going to be on the desk analyzing and just digging into the action. It's going to be so much fun. I hope to see you there. Take care, everybody, and have a nice week.